Okay. Admit, hello. Hi, Portia. Okay, so everyone who is just getting back, so we're going to start with an activity where you want to get your 2 cups ready. You're going to open up one of your packets of Alka-Seltzers, okay? And put one in the bottom of 1 cup, and then the other one you're going to break up into chunks. Like what I do is usually I just hold it in the package and kind of smush it around inside. Hopefully you're not super close to your computer. If you need to move away, feel free to do that. But that's just what we're gonna do. And then when you think it's crushed appropriately, you're gonna put it into the other section, or the other cup, I mean, sorry. All right, so welcome back, people. We're gonna do this really quickly. We're gonna do this surface area activity where you're taking the Alka-Seltzer tablet, you're opening it up, putting 1 whole tablet in the bottom of 1 cup, and then the second one in leaving it in the bag, and then crushing it all up, and then putting it into a second cup. All right. And then I have 2 extra cups. I have the luxury of having 2 extra cups. So if you have 4 cups in total, I don't know, I think I should have done most of that, but if not, so we're gonna do this. And I'm gonna just estimate it, but I'm gonna pour like a quarter, or I did give you 4 cups. I think I might have some of it, oops, June, here we go, okay. So we're gonna pour like just a little bit of water in. Okay, do you guys see my screen? Okay. And then you're gonna get ready and pour water into your cups, but we're gonna wait a little longer because I know everyone is sort of still getting situated, yeah? Okay. Here. And what might be nice is even to put it in the black container that I got you guys, so in case there's some spillover. All right, so again, for those of us who are joining now, we're gonna start with the surface area activity. So you're gonna get the 2 cups and then an Alka-Seltzer tablet packet. Put 1 full Alka-Seltzer in here in 1 cup, like this. And then the other one you're gonna break apart in the bag and then dump the rest so it's broken up into the other cup, okay? And then when you're ready, excuse me. Yep, perfect. And then yeah, if you wanna make sure to protect your computer, because I know we're kind of like close by electronics, which is always sort of dangerous. You're gonna put them over here, and then you can put them in the black container provided, or the white container, either one, just so in case it spills over. Because then we're gonna pour water at the same time. If you don't have 4 cups, that's okay. And you can also use like a timer. You can use a timer and just pour the water in and kind of like watch the time, however long it takes. Okay. All right. So again, we're starting with the Alka-Seltzer surface area, where we're taking 2 cups, 1 tablet, 1 crushed up tablet. And then when you're ready, we're gonna all pour the water in.
Should it be like really crushed?
It should be pretty powdery, yeah, like this, if you can. But if it's just semi-crushed, it's okay too. Here, everyone's ready? They're mostly ready?
No. I thought you said to go already.
Oh, you went already? That's okay. If you're ready to go, then go. Don't.
But I had a helper, so we're all recorded up and everything.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, let's try this. This isn't gonna work. Okay, I'm gonna use the computer video. Okay, ready? All right. So, is everyone ready? Ready?
How much water should we have?
Just like 2 fingers maybe of water. Here, where's 2 fingers like this? It should be about the same. So if you were in your classroom, it would be better if you actually had measured it out. But I think because this is sort of rushed a little. Oh, 50 milliliters works best, says Usha. But you can just eyeball it. It's okay. The whole demo is, yeah. Okay, I see everyone, or most people are ready. So, okay, ready, set, go. Okay, it's less exciting. Okay. So do you guys see which one is going faster with more volume, right? Versus the other one is kind of like the tortoise, right? Slow and steady. And the other one is the hare, right? Okay. And then, yep. Is anyone like the same or similar? Yeah, oops. All right. And then if you're not feeling well, you can drink some. I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. Okay. So what did we show here? Right? So this one is still going, right?
I do this with my students. Except
Sorry?
I do this with my students, except we do the
Oh,
rocket.
you do?
The
You do what?
The Alka-Seltzer rocket. So you put it in film
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, with a rocket. Oh, very cool.
It's really cool. They like it a lot.
Yeah. Okay. How far do their rockets get? Are they in the water or what happens?
Well, they kind of shoot up. So like you put it into like, you know, those old like film canisters?
Mm-hmm.
Like you put a tablet in and with water and then you close it and then
Okay. Okay.
pop.
Okay. Awesome. Anybody else? All right. Who else has already done this in their classroom besides, I think, Usha and June? Oh, okay. Anybody else? You can raise your hand too. Oh, Leo? Okay. Jenny? Okay, great. Okay, so I think, all right, I'm gonna, as the computer's trying to start back up again or figure itself out. So yeah, I'm sure this is a very popular activity, but what I really like is that I think it helps reinforce and showcase the reactivity of a material when it comes to the nanoscale. So I like that you can time it. There's a lot of flexibility with this particular, with this particular activity. Wow, why is it not working? All right, I'm just gonna share my screen as is because for some reason the presentation mode is not really cooperating. Okay, so over here again, you just need Alka-Seltzer, water, and 4 cups of water or 4 cups, and then you'll just deposit it and break it apart. And then yeah, you can ask the students questions like what was faster, what was slower, why do you think it happened, what would happen if the Alka-Seltzer tablets would be nano size, like how long would it take compared to the full tablet. And I think it's a really straightforward demonstration on just when you change the size of something, its properties will change. This is obviously a macro scale example of that, but I think it really gets the concept across just, you know, as a model, which we'll talk about a little bit later today. Okay. And then what we're going to do is test the limits of my computer. And we're going to talk about something that's quite important when it comes to some nanoscale objects, which is self-assembly. Has anyone heard of self-assembly or been introduced to it in any shape or form? Anybody? Okay, so I see some head shaking. So self-assembly is the spontaneous formation of an organized structure or pattern due to specific and local interactions of the components. So said in a different way is just things get put together by themselves. And so this is something that is really interesting when it comes to like us, we are self-assembled, if you think of it that way, right? So when you become like a tiny a tiny ball of cells, those cells come together with purpose. It's not just some random or someone is, you know, a tiny person is putting it together as like a stork or whatever, but people and a lot of things and objects are self-assembled. So we're going to actually go through a couple activities that really dictate what that means and what is important and about self-assembly. Okay, so we're gonna watch a quick video first. Hopefully it will play. Okay. And then again, I just want to mention, I think there were maybe 2 of you that were not able to finish the pre-survey. Can you please make sure to complete that? It's very important to do that.
Imagine a puzzle where
Okay, let me make sure to play the sound properly. Okay. Okay.
the pieces fit themselves together
Can you
without
hear okay and everything? All right, thank you.
any human help. These special kinds of puzzles are actually all around us, on a scale we normally can't see, and they put themselves together in a process called self-assembly. Self-assembly occurs when molecules spontaneously organize into complex structures, like smart puzzle pieces. They are directed to their proper locations by attractions and repulsions that result from their electrical charges, magnetic properties, and complementary shapes. This means that the molecules can assemble spontaneously into ordered rods, sheets, spheres, and other useful structures that are much bigger than the individual building blocks. One of these useful structures self-assembles every time you wash your hands. Soap is made up of molecules called fatty acids. These molecules have a hydrophilic end that's attracted to water and a hydrophobic chain that's attracted to oily substances, like grease and dirt. When you wash your hands, the large hydrophobic chains cluster around the particles of grease and dirt, leaving the hydrophilic end sticking out, surrounded by water. This self-assembled dirt trap helps the water pull grease and dirt off your hands and leaves your skin squeaky clean. Remember that self-assembly organizes material at a very small scale. In fact, the molecules involved in self-assembly are often measured in units of nanometers, or a billionth of a meter. That's 1,000 times smaller than a human hair. This makes self-assembly especially useful for nanotechnologies, which are found in everything from computer chips to electric cars to medical technology. Speaking of medical technology, one example of self-assembly in action is a new method for getting medicine to the right places in sick patients, a field known as drug delivery. Researchers have found a way to make thin molecular coatings self-assemble around small doses of anti-cancer drugs, similar to how soap molecules surround an oily substance. These coatings help the assembly bind selectively to cancer cells and release most of the drug when it gets to those cells, where it can do the most good. This also protects healthy cells from being attacked by the anti-cancer drug. Remember the hydrophobic tails and hydrophilic ends of the soap molecule? Nature uses similar building blocks called phospholipids in the outer membrane of each one of your cells. These building blocks contain one hydrophilic end attached to 2 hydrophobic tails. These pieces self-assemble into a bilayer, sort of like a nanoscale ice cream sandwich. The center ice cream part of the bilayer maximizes hydrophobic interactions between the long tails and positions of the hydrophilic end cookies in contact with watery environments inside or outside the cell. The formation of this phospholipid bilayer keeps important cellular components like the nucleus and cytoplasm where they belong, so that they can do what they're supposed to do, where it's supposed to happen. This is one of the many interacting bits and pieces that come together to make what's arguably the most beautiful and intricate example of self-assembly in nature. You.
Okay. All right, so I really like that video. It's actually created, and they have a whole series of videos. It's called SciTunes, SCI Tunes, and they are actually a production out of Brown University. So they have a lot of interesting things that they kind of break down into a lot of more simple concepts. So, and they're very kid friendly or student friendly. Okay, so switching gears, we're gonna move right back into another activity. Okay, so this is where the overview, and I think we're just gonna have to keep an eye on the time because I'm trying to squeeze a lot into a little bit of time when we're online. So I would really strongly encourage you, if you have the bandwidth. I know everyone has all different things that's going on besides doing this program, but if you have the time, I would encourage you to spend some time outside of the course in playing around with some of the stuff. But so what we'll be doing is modeling self-assembly with magnets. So we have 2 activities. one is the floating self-assembly, and then the second one is the shaking self-assembly. So I have my water handy, so I think I'm gonna start with the floating self-assembly, okay? So that is where you're gonna need the black container and, excuse me, the white container that's here, okay? And you're gonna pour a little bit of water in them. And I'm gonna do that right now. So I would say like maybe an inch of water, not too much. Okay. Like so, okay. And then you'll also have magnets with foam on them. Okay. So I hand glued every single piece of the foam onto your magnets, okay? So there is a lot of time and effort put into this. I actually don't have any more rectangular foam pieces. I didn't get a chance to glue anymore, so I'm only gonna use the round ones. And I don't know, Jenny and Krithika, I don't know if I gave you round one or square ones either, but I think you for sure have round ones. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna play around with them. So this is kind of mimicking the self-assembly properties. And so one big thing, the whole reason why this model works is that, you know, we have magnets, right? And as a reminder, magnets, you know, the same or the opposite sides attract and the same sides repel. Sorry, my brain is not working. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take them and just put them in the water. Here, let me see if I can show you. One by one like this, okay? And I would start with maybe like 10, or actually start with 5. The container is a little bit small, and see what kind of structure they assemble into, right?
Angela, could I use the ones in the box?
No, you got to use the ones with the foam, otherwise they will not float.
Oh, the foamy ones. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
foamy ones. Yeah. Sorry that wasn't make sense. So yeah, and I would put the magnet side up so you can see where they're going and just what's going on in general. And so you'll see here. Oops. Okay.
Only some of them have magnets, right?
Yeah, just use the ones with magnets. Don't use the ones without magnets. Yeah. Okay. So what do you guys see? What are you noting? Is something happening?
They float away from each other.
Very good. Yeah, so they're pushing, they're all the same side, right? They're all the same polarity, like from the magnet orientation. But so because of that, they're repelling each other, right? So they look like this ideally. So I put 12 in mine, in the square, in the rectangular one, right? And what do you guys see?
They're spread out perfectly from each other.
Yeah, they're spread out perfectly. So part of the reason why is, right, the forces are similar, and then also they repel each other and they're stuck by the boundary of the water. What else is going on? Do you guys see anything different? Did anyone try the round one?
I did the round one. I didn't have time to get to the I just saw that they're in like a perfect circle and they took shape of the container.
Okay, very good. Very good. Anybody else? Oh, nice. I see Anna's. Very good. Oh, yeah, Joanne. Very good. Yeah, so those are round ones. And then mine is a little different, right? It fits the shape of the structure. But then if I take them out, you can take them out. I would just reuse the ones that are already wet because they're already wet. And then you do it over here. Oops. Oh my God. This is why you need a desk or something. Otherwise it makes it hard. Okay, oops. All right. And then I keep putting them in here. And then you know what you can also try doing is actually flipping a few over and seeing what happens. Right? You guys note anything? I don't want to give too much away. But
They start combining together and forming cool shapes.
Yeah, they start combining and clumping together. They kind of look like bacteria almost. Like, so yeah, mine are all the same, right? And then if you flip them over, like you flip a couple, and they kind of start squishing together. And then you can actually, what you can do is like shake it a little and see what happens. Right? Does this look familiar to anyone? Like, does it look like anything you eat in the morning? Awesome.
Cereal?
Cereal, yeah, really good. I think Amrit also was saying that too, but you might have been muted. But yeah, so it actually looks similar. I'm skipping around a little bit, but I think we're just gonna have fun with this. So it actually looks like the Cheerio effect. This is an actual effect where the Cheerios will sort of start to collide towards one another when because they're drawn to one another. And it's they actually wrote a paper on it. It's ridiculous. But it's basically with the Cheerio effect, it's actually the forces between the cereal and the surface tension of the milk, and they just somehow draw. There's a lot of physics going on, which I do not know, but they eventually like draw each other towards the other Cheerios, which I think is really interesting. And yeah, and I would keep playing around with them, but I'm doing the floating one. I'm doing them out of order. Sorry. Let me move them. Okay. Anyway, so what you can do is then, and you can play around. So I would even try working with the rectangular pieces too. I personally don't have any, but I can try with non-magnetized ones, right? And see what happens. Probably not a lot, but you can play around with them, right? Is anything happening with the rectangle, or if you mix them up?
So my magnets never did that. Like the whole time, no matter what I've done, they've always clumped together.
Okay, so with those ones, I would not mix. I would start with mixing just the round ones, and then
That's what I was doing.
Oh,
Yeah, but it never separated out like yours did.
maybe they're too. Maybe they're.
Probably some of the magnets are reversed in terms of how they're glued on there. I had some that weren't in my pile like that.
Oh, you're right.
Double
They
check
are.
which side of the magnet is sticking up on the surface.
I'll flip those over, huh? Good idea.
Yeah, and only put to start off with. Just put ones in there that have the same side of the magnet, the same pole facing up. Because right now you have them mixed in there.
Yeah.
There I do.
Yeah. So another thing which I think is really interesting is, as you keep putting more and more in, they're gonna start getting tighter and tighter, and they'll form actually a different structure. So before they were kind of more spread out, but now they're actually forming like a little hexagon. Do you see that in the center? There's enough of them. And this is actually a phenomenon where that's how crystals are made. They have certain particular packing structures. And so there's like a hexagonal close packed, a cubic centered close packed. So this is all how crystals are formed. And this is sort of a similar method of how that happens. Okay. Any questions or comments so far?
Angela or Jenny, can I ask, since there's an included pack of magnets, how do you tell the orientation of it when you're gluing them on?
Oh, that's a great question. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna go get my hot glue gun and show you exactly how I did this.
Because I would love to set this up, but I wouldn't know the orientation.
Yeah, basically you can tell just by how the magnets stick together because, certain sides repel and certain sides attract.
I mean, would you have to do that one by one and test them? And then
if you look at the magnets in the package, they're already stuck together in a column.
And you would just separate it in the same stack?
Sorry?
You would just separate it out in the same orientation, top down?
Yeah, correct. And then how you glue them, you want to have them glued in that same way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Angela's been kind of fun.
It's an awesome activity. It's
Like,
brilliant.
I've been having to flip them over to figure out which one, because then once you flip them over, like they all attract to each other. So then I have to figure out which one's in the middle. Then I flip that one back over, and then they separate again. So it was actually kind of fun.
So let me show you how I actually glued them together, because that is actually a whole process that is not that fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. So you take it and you make it into one full rod like this, okay? And then what I do is I take one foam piece, okay? I lift up the magnet, I put the foam piece on there, and then I put the magnet on top like this. You see? Okay. And then I would apply hot glue to the top of this. Sometimes I put it even underneath to like really seal it together. And then I would lift it off and then set it aside to dry or cool down. And then I would repeat the same process until I was done with the whole tube. I like crafts, so I'm a different person than some people who may not have the patience to deal with all this fiddliness. But I am a fan. So another option is I've seen is where you can punch a hole through the piece of foam, and you can buy these really narrow magnets and stick them sort of in the middle with the help of a like coffee stirrer. I personally have not done it before, but my colleague has at Georgia Tech. But it's pretty straightforward for the most part, and that's how you make sure all the magnets are then oriented the same way. See, so then you can kind of stack them on top of each other. That's part of the reason why, like, I have a whole bunch of round ones, and so they all stack. Oops. They all have the same magnet oriented in one way. These are different ways, but you can see them here, right? Where the magnet is right between the piece of foam. Does that make sense? Okay. And I was planning on making a video describing my gluing method. Okay. Any questions so far? Any other comments? That was good.
Thank you, Angela. That was an awesome activity.
Yeah, the only problem is it just takes so long. I wish there was some way you could just buy them like this, but you can't.
That's what teacher aids are for.
Oh, okay. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions so far? Okay. So yeah, you can then again you can mix it, like you can add energy into the system and then like purposely mess it up, right? And see what happens, what structures are formed, because this is kind of going back to more like thermodynamics, where you add energy into a system and then it's then self-organizes, or things like that, or depending on, again, going back to this morning's lecture on the structure of matter, right? Depending on the atom's shape and size, it could change and fit together differently. And so that's actually what we're going to go to next. But before that, let's do a quick little discussion. And again, so this is sort of these guiding questions. You don't have to write them down, or you can if you want, if you're taking notes, but sort of, and actually we're gonna wait till the end of this. I lied to you. But now we're gonna actually switch gears. So please get rid of all the water that you have. No more water today, thank God, because it causes me a lot of nervousness with my computer. But you're gonna get rid of your water, and then we're gonna switch over to the shaking self-assembly. So this is where you're gonna you have some masking tape and the magnets that I think maybe Yannette was holding up, the little ceramic magnets. And then you're gonna take them with the Legos that you got, okay? And then we're gonna get rid of this. And with the magnets, I would just let them sit out to dry for a little while before putting them back. Okay. And now we're gonna switch gears here. Okay, so we're gonna use the Legos, sorry. Legos. And then these magnets, the ceramic magnets that are here, okay? And then the tape. And what we're gonna do first, and again, this is still under this realm of self-assembly where we're thinking about the positive and the negative domains of the magnet so we can design something. So in this particular case, and the box. So the box, you can use one of your containers that you had previously. Actually, let me get mine. Okay. So what you're gonna do is take your, I would start small, and I would just take 2 pieces of Legos and think about how you want them to attach to one another. Because what you're gonna do, the goal here is to sketch out a shape that you want to make. So I may do something where I want them to touch like this, right? Like the red and green to be touching like this. So I'm going to think about a way of how the magnets, how I'm going to orient the magnets to stick together the way I want them to, okay? And you can get really complicated, but I would start small. Or another fun thing you can do if you think, you know, this is not for you, this shape is not for you, you can add more Legos and like stick them together. So then maybe you want the piece to fit in like here. It's up to you. So this is what I like about this activity is it's very free form. So I think I'm gonna actually make it harder. So I'm gonna make this be my one structure and this will be the other piece, and I want the piece to fit in like this, okay? So then what I'll do is I'll take out the magnets like this. And then try to glue, or I would tape them. They are kind of big, so I think we're gonna do our best with the size, but I might do that like this. I might tape the magnet this way, here, and then tape it the other way. So you may wanna figure out what the orientation of the magnet is, like what sides repel, which sides attract before you tape down your magnet, okay? And again, feel free to put any questions in the chat.
So you want to, one of the pieces like is the positive facing up and the other to negative.
Exactly. Because you want them to attract. However, it depends. If you're doing more magnets, then you may need to talk about or think about, you know, what sides do you want them to repel? So, well, but let's not get ahead of ourselves because we can talk about that a little bit more. But I'm gonna just tape it down. So, like I already taped one down. You can also use super glue. I do not really recommend super glue because then you cannot reuse the Legos and the magnets. So I'll just show you my example right now. So I had them, so it fits in like a little, a tiny piece fits into a larger piece like this, okay? Like this, yeah. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, and I'm just showing you this as a demonstration, but then I take the 2 pieces and I can put them in the little container like this, and then I close it up. This is my reaction vessel with my 2 molecules or atoms or whatever you want, the 2 sections, right? And then I shake it up like this, and then I make sure and see if whether or not the 2 pieces are coming back together, right? And so once I've gotten one piece done, I can make it more complicated, which I really like. And this is, I think, where a lot of kids and teachers have more fun, where you're trying to like make a cool like dragon or dinosaur, I don't know, but that's where I found everyone gets really carried away in a good way. So let me try.
How do you make sure that it sticks vertically versus like horizontally next to each other?
So that's a good point. So that is where you have to start thinking about the magnets and how you want them to fit together. Like or the structure of the piece. So for example, if I wanted it to make it like sit only on the outside, then I wouldn't put a magnet here, or I would put a repelling magnet here to put something else there versus this magnet. So this could attract to this, but then if I put, hold on. Is this making sense? It's a little hard to describe, I think, abstractly, but here, if I wanted to put this new magnet here, I could orient it so it repels this piece, right? It doesn't want to go, but it could have both pieces. So this would stick to this side, but then I could get another piece, and I'll show you in a second. I'll do this as a demonstration. But then the other one would only go on this side. So I'll show you how to do that. Because each of the magnet sides will have one side that will attract and the other side will repel. So this is the attractive side, but then if I switch it to this one, they will repel, right? But you have to pick the right side for it to make it work. Does that make sense? Oh, sorry, Leo, you're muted.
I was wondering, like, more specifically about smaller pieces of Legos, like this one.
Oh, sorry, I can't see it.
Sorry, let me toggle this. Can you see it now?
No.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering, like, if you have two small pieces, it could be arranged like this to the side. Like, it has several configurations.
Yeah. But then you would just put the magnet wherever you want, or is the magnet on the whole thing because it's so big?
It's at the bottom of each piece of Lego.
Oh, okay. So, okay, one thing is that when you put it into your like reaction vessel like this and shake it around, then it will sort of only stick to the most attracted portion of the magnet. Does that make sense? I don't know.
I feel it's equally attracted to like the side and vertically.
You may need to make a bigger structure then.
Okay.
Or honestly, just test it out and see. Because then I think that will also give you a better perspective. Because the forces, so let me show you this thing. So, all right, I'm going to do this. And then I have one that is for sure attracted to the one side. But then if I put it, I'm going to have it attract to another side. Let's see.
Is the fidelity of the design to ensure that it always rearranges to the same structure?
Yeah, you usually want to do that. Yeah. Okay, like this. So one side, okay, both sides, so that's not great. So okay, I realize when I put the magnet on here like this, it attracts to both sides, and I don't want that. I want only the red one to be on one side, right? So I will flip this magnet to the other side. So it will only stick to one side, right? So now it has two magnets on both sides, but this one for sure sticks, right? The other one, also sticks. That's not good. These magnets may not be.
So you gave us some little tiny magnets?
The tiny magnets you can also use.
They work better.
Yeah, you can use those as well, but I would try to save them. What's nice about those, this is better. So this one, it sticks, right? But the other one, it does not stick. Like no matter how hard I push it, it will not stick. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another magnet and figure out the right orientation. Okay, so it's this way. So I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna put this black one together like this. So it's gonna make a little L like this, okay? Okay, so see now this L shape right here, so it sticks on this side. Does it stick on this side? No. Okay, so it depends on the orientation of the magnets. So then when I take this apart and I shake it, right? I put all 3 pieces like this, like this, and I close it up. Sometimes it might take a little while, or it may not go. So it depends. So like, for example, mine, it went, but not all the way, right? So the L did not actually come to fruition. And part of it could be the size of your structure. It could be also the size of your container, and it could also be the magnet orientation. But I know that I don't think it's the magnet orientation. I think it's because this thing was just too long to be properly shaken up in this particular container because it just didn't have enough clearing. Okay, and you can actually, it doesn't, your reaction container doesn't have to be that small. It could be much bigger if you wanted. I just, because of shipping restrictions, I just gave you guys smaller ones, but you can totally do something that's much bigger. I think when Jenny and Krithika did it, they were in like much bigger boxes. Okay. Oh, Jenny, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that part of it has to do with the design process. That if a child draws a certain configuration they want to make, that struggle that Leo mentioned is part of that learning, is figuring out how can I attach magnets so that I get that exact configuration. And whether the kids are successful in actually getting to the point where they can shake it and have that exact configuration, the learning is still going to be there. So it's not so much about having a finished product that's perfect. It's about this idea of certain things stick together in certain ways. And if as scientists we could figure that out, we could build things at a molecular level. And so it's really a lot about the process as well.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny. That was really helpful. Yeah. Does anyone get their projects to work? How's it going? Does anyone want to share their
Kind of like protein folding.
Yeah, it is kind of like protein folding. Very good. Yeah. So it's all that stuff combined. It's also they were talking in the video about soap, like the self-assembly of soap, right? You make this micelle, and then it helps because it has this hydrophobic end and a hydrophilic end. So that's also helpful as well. Sorry, my email is up. Okay. Was anyone able to get a more complicated structure? Okay. All right. Okay. So everyone sees my screen? Okay. So was anyone able to do like multiple pieces or single pieces? Yeah. 2 pieces? 3 pieces? Did anyone do like 5? No? I see Amber's face. Okay. Okay. But another thing is, you could actually have it sort of be reverse engineered where you ask students to just randomly put the magnets and see what happens, and then eventually move towards a more specific design too. Like you can really have a lot of fun with this. That's what I like about this particular activity. And another thing is, there's so many variables. You can use Legos, you can use different other pieces, you can use cardboard pieces, you can use different reaction containers, you can use different size magnets. All of these magnets are the same magnet, but I think maybe Vicky was using the other magnets from the floating self-assembly, which you can totally do. So it's really customizable in what you're trying to teach. But it is a struggle, and I think Jenny and Leo touched upon the nice part, which is it's an engineering design process where in the beginning you ideally would actually draw out your magnetic structure, where you have like a little cube, and then you would put, this is where I would put the magnet. It would be a particular side facing out and things like that, and then test it. And you could draw and observe, what were the outcomes of that reaction. And then finally go back and iterate, and see what would, come to be, right? Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, as we're sort of wrapping up, and we are going to sort of talk about, so I think in this particular case, we're going to do a little bit of sort of thinking and writing, or you can type if you want. But you can sort of describe self-assembly in your own words, right? So thinking about the magnets and what forces are at hand, plus maybe even thinking about the reaction vessel and how that part of the experiment changes things, like if it's a different reaction vessel, and it's also dependent on, you know, how forcibly you shake it. So a lot of different things that are coming to sort of play into this activity. And then if you were hitting some challenges, you know, how did you change your design or modify your design so you could actually make it, you know, be the way you wanted it? So maybe just spending a little bit of time thinking about it or writing it down on sort of self-assembly, and then we can actually talk about it together as a group. So let's spend like 3 minutes to do that, or 4 minutes, plus like we'll do it. We'll just sit and chat. Okay. All right. Does anyone want to talk about it yet?
So I can go.
Okay, awesome.
So basically, I just talked about how self-assembly, it seems like the natural properties of an element or whatever it's made up of, you know, its polarity, that type of thing, is what drives its reaction to or affinity to combine with other things.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the shaking, does that represent a catalyst?
It can act as a catalyst or just sort of temperature, depending on what you can have it be representative of a lot of things. Yeah, but yeah, that catalyst could work. Yeah.
And basically my main thing was making sure that the magnets were oriented properly in order to make sure that it was assembled the way I wanted it to be.
Yeah, very good. Awesome. Anybody else? Does anyone else have anything to add?
I kind of thought that well, like what you said about reverse engineering, I kind of had to reverse engineer to see how the magnets would react when I started shaking it.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of thinking that the final product would kind of be sometimes a little bit random due to the size of the magnets compared to the Lego pieces. So
Yeah.
sometimes it would land here, sometimes it would land there because they stuck out. Sometimes they stuck to the side. Sometimes they stuck where it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what you said about reverse engineering because that's kind of the way I had to go around it.
Yeah, you definitely sometimes, especially because I think now I would do a better job of explaining it in person, but it's a little hard right now. So yeah, you definitely have to take a little bit of a step back to figure out, you know, what shape you're trying to achieve. Yeah,
I think you did a great job by not explaining it to us because we had to figure it out ourselves. No, I think I had more fun with it.
Okay, good.
I had to figure it out myself. I like that.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Any other opinions on this? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Does it make sense in your classroom? I think that's another thing. And this is something that is obviously a vein throughout the whole workshop is, does this make sense in your classroom? Does it have a place? Or, you know, would this be something where you're talking about biology or cells or, you know, or the one earlier, we actually, my colleague actually had math teachers come to this particular nanoscience program. And so the math teacher was saying how definitely they were going to use the how big is it activity in their classroom. So I thought that was really cool. So you can really modify. Samantha, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just thinking about Legos. They get messy, and for the teacher, they're expensive. So just thinking if we could maybe brainstorm something else to use besides, because the magnets, I think I could afford that. Tape is easy. I'm already thinking of how to get these food containers. Everybody has them, so just tell your family, start saving your food containers that you're getting from all the takeout.
Yeah.
But these pieces are going to get expensive. Now, I have a son who has a gazillion Lego pieces, but not everybody has that, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I really like that point. I think
cut pieces out of cardboard and make their own Lego pieces.
Yeah, you could cut them out of cardboard. You can also ask students to give Legos. I bought these on eBay. I guess they were kind of expensive, but I think on eBay I thought it was like more reasonably priced than buying a new set of Legos. And you can also just ask the kids to grab things around their house that's sort of like handheld. I mean, not, I think you have to do that within reason, obviously, but we've also, a few examples, ping pong balls was one that we tried doing using Velcro. What I really like about this though is that because you're using tape, before I had people using super glue, which is not a great idea because students and the teachers would super glue their hands together. So I don't recommend that. But what I like, at least this, is reusable. So when you have the Legos, you can reuse them for other things. So you could ask the students, oh, bring like 5 Lego pieces and we're going to work with those individually. Or if they can't do that, then yeah, for sure, cardboard pieces would work. The foam pieces are relatively cheap. They're like from they're math manipulators. And what else have we done? This one is a little bit trickier, but you can use like other pieces of metals, like little nuts and bolts and things like that as well. You just have to be careful because it's sharp. Yeah. Jenny, did you have anything to add?
I was just thinking things like even packing peanuts or hard candies, certain kind of hard candies that you can buy if you can get them cheaply, or just even going to the dollar store and just looking around, what kind of little tiny manipulatives are available for cheap on that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is just in terms of like as a teacher thinking about, well, how does this tie in? Is that, and this is something I just learned this year after teaching for like 1 billion years. I mean, you switch topics and then sometimes you learn new content you didn't know, is this idea that individual atoms have magnetic and electric properties. Individual molecules have electric and magnetic properties. So any little tiny piece of matter has the same properties as a magnet. And so it is actually accurate to use this as a macro version that we can see of what's happening at a molecular level.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, so the whole premise of this and a lot of these models, we're trying to mimic what's going on that we can't necessarily see or describe, right? So the magnets are a way, oopsies, to demonstrate the attractive and repulsive forces in nature, right? That's part of the reason why, oil and water don't mix, right? But if we add some sort of stabilizer like mustard, right? I make salad dressing a lot. So if you're making salad dressing, how do you mix oil and vinegar together, right? Is you add them some sort of emulsifier that can mediate that. The emulsifier is actually both the attractive and repulsive forces, just like soap, where it has a hydrophilic section and a hydrophobic section. So it can make things mix together, make it more miscible. And it's the same thing with protein folding. You're working with the interplay between attractive forces and repulsive forces, right? And a lot of the times you're just balancing, like life is a balancing act, but also self-assembly is a balancing act of all these different forces at once. I even envision sometimes, that force diagram that you used to learn in physics, right? It's kind of the same thing. What is the most powerful force in this section? And that's kind of how self-assembly works, where the most dominant cumulative force is the one that wins and will fold the protein or manipulate the matter in one certain way or another. That makes sense? Okay, great. All right, let's see. What do we got for the rest of the day? Okay. Oh, right. So extending the activity, yeah, like I said, you can even add, if you don't want to be, sorry. Are we okay? Okay. So with the extending activity, you can use like Velcro pieces. You can change different size boxes. Am I frozen? It looks like I'm frozen. I am frozen. Okay. I'm going to turn off my video for a second. Okay. So you can You can use Velcro pieces, making more complicated structure, or add multiple components. Like you can add a magnet, you can add a Velcro piece all at the same time and see what attractive forces dominate. And again, more experimental variables like big or smaller boxes, different shaking times or strengths. Or, you can have some kids shake it only, along a flat surface, like on the ground. So it only is shaking in the X and Y directions. And then some kids can shake in all 3 dimensions. Again, with more activities, you can use ping pong balls, dice, bottle caps are a good one as well. Or you have to save those. And then again, what I think is really great is like there's a serial effect too that you'll see where again it self-assembles. They sort of start connecting to one another. Okay. All right. And then, okay. So